October 18th, 2012 meeting of the Carlynton School Board of Directors is called to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have our principal from Carlynton to introduce two students to pledge for us.
Yes, this evening we have Jonah Hunt and Sarah McMurdo. They are both 4th grade students, but I've asked them to come this evening because they have a very, very special distinction that they actually earned last year when they were 3rd grade students at Carlynton. Jonah, would you like to tell them how did I share this information with you? Want to tell them about my little trick?
You scared us and you forced us to the office.
So I called them both down to the office, and these are students, star students. They've never been in the office before, and they sat down and they're looking at each other and they're thinking, why are we here? And why were you down there, Sarah?
To tell us that we got 100%. Well, we were the only 2 students that got 100% in math PSSAs.
So last year on the PSSA test, they were the only students in our whole school. They each got 100% in mathematics.
So you got every question right.
That's right. So we're very proud of their academic progress, and we know that they will do very well this year and every year. But we just wanted to make sure that they were recognized for that special accomplishment.
Well, you've got to get 100% every year now. Okay?
We want to thank their families for coming to support them tonight as well.
Yes, thank you very much. You guys ready to lead us in the pledge? So just get us started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again. The Secretary will call the roll.
Present.
Director Wilson.
She is not here this evening.
Director Udit. Here. Director Cicero.
She will not be here this evening.
Director Shell.
Present.
Director Walker.
Here.
Director Schreiber.
Here.
Director Shariffa. Present. Director Newsom.
Here. Now's an opportunity for anyone who'd like to comment on any item on our agenda. If you are here to speak on something else, you will have that opportunity during open forum. I didn't see any names on the list. So with that, we're going to move on. And I will note that we'll first ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the October 4th, 2012 meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? The motion
I
carries.
abstain.
Mr. Apple was not at the October 4th meeting, and for that reason abstains. We will move on to reports then, and I will report to you all that we had an executive session prior to this meeting. During that session, we discussed personnel issues, contract issues, I think a pupil issue. Anything else, Mr. Andrews?
I think that's it.
Okay. With that, I see we'll move to our superintendent report.
Thank you. As you know, 2 of the issues that we've been working on and continue to work on for this year is curriculum alignment and revision to the Pennsylvania Common Core and also the Keystone exams. The faculty has been working and breaking into department level and grade level teams at both buildings as we begin to work on the curriculum revision. Again, the Keystone exams are coming up for the first wave of December. As we want to do the best we can for the kids and give our teachers the tools that they need to prepare the kids, this training is very critical to them and represents a long-term commitment of the district to work with on-hand schools who we've been contracting with to provide this training for the teachers and help us with developing test item questions. We've also begun Act 93 negotiations. Act 93 is the agreement that we make with our building administrators and administrative team, and recognizing the importance and contributions that the administrators make We had some very good discussions tonight and are looking at going back to revisit the plan, and hopefully we will have something in November that we can be able to discuss and present to the Act 93 team. Also, we've discussed in this forum the building renovations that we're looking into making down at Carlynton and Carnegie. First and foremost has come up in this forum. There's a lot of concern about the cooling of the buildings. Now that it's winter, there's a lot of concern about the heating of the buildings and the age of the boilers, and even being able to get parts. Some of those boilers go back to, frankly, go back to the Eisenhower era. And it's interesting to look at them, but they're not the most efficient that we're looking at. And some of the repairs that we're doing now to make sure the boilers work are really to help us get through this winter. But as we move forward with the renovations, boilers, supplemental power to the buildings, and a way to cool the buildings, at least the upper stories, are going to be some of the initial things we look at. To help us with that, I'd like to enter into negotiations with John Thomas of Thomas & Williamson to be our construction manager, and so that he can come and do a presentation to this board on November 1st, and we can discuss some figures with him. But I think we're at the stage, if we can get a contract together and begin to get some things out and take some concrete steps to prioritize our building needs down there, that's going to benefit the kids, and I think it's going to enable us to use the buildings, especially in summer months, longer, which I think is what we want to do as we continue to work to reach out to the community.
Before you move on from that topic, I want to express our board's appreciation to Director Wakowiak, Director Shriver, and Director Sarah. They were part of the committee that this board had asked to interview various firms to serve as our construction manager, certainly our superintendent, Mr. Pfeiffer, as well. So thank you very much for your efforts there. And Mr. Pfeiffer has asked for the board's approval to go ahead and negotiate, go forward with John Thomas. So unless there's any objection, and I see none, the board approves and asks that you do move forward with those negotiations. Okay.
Thank you. Now I'd like to read, Ms. Hudson is absent, but asked me to read for her. Then on behalf of Ms. Hudson and the faculty and staff at Carnegie, they'd like to thank the Salvation Army for providing 20 pairs of shoes for our students, Carnegie Collier Rotary for providing 86 pairs of shoes for our students, and the Carlynton United Presbyterian Church for providing 24 coats for the kindergarten students, and the Carnegie United Presbyterian Church for providing over 30 backpacks to both Carnegie and Carlynton. Ms. Hudson would also like to thank Guidance Counselor Sherry Lee for organizing these efforts. And then next week, they will be celebrating Red Ribbon Week down at the elementary. And at the Harvest Parade over at Carnegie for grades K through 3 will take place on Wednesday, October 31st at 1:30. Now at this point, I'm going to jump around a little bit and go to Ms. Myford, who wants to talk about working with Together.
On the agenda, you have an item regarding Together, and within the packet you had, there's a copy of the contract. And I just wanted to clarify that they're offering that service to us, but it's at no cost for us. It's only for students within the district, and we would not employ the teachers. They pay for whoever they're sending to do the instruction. So I wanted to clarify that before the vote came up on that item.
And I read that one of the stipulations that we maintain 15 students per semester. You don't see that as being a problem that we would be able, I mean, they said they're waivers in case like
Right,
but you don't anticipate that being an issue to trip up this program?
I mean, if we're not able to provide it, then they don't provide the service, but I don't think there's any negative ramifications for us other than we don't offer that to our students, you know. Yeah. So I don't know if there are any other questions about that. I just want to make sure that you were aware of that before the vote came up, that there is no cost to us and we don't directly employ the teachers, although they are welcome to employ our teachers. It is through their organization because they hold that grant. They just just wanted to do it. I mean, it's a nice service that they're offering to do with us at our site.
One thing I can't remember is, it's just for the grant year is just 1 year, and then they'll reassess us and then see if we're able to do a subsequent year.
And what I learned meeting with them is we can start by offering the classes we have for older students. And if there are more than 15 students or there's a lot of community interest, they also offer classes for adults regarding relationships. So parents could be involved, in a community learning center type of setting. We could have parent classes, parent relationship classes. They offer single parenting class, and I'm saying classes, but it's more like a group discussion with instruction.
Now, is this tied to the 21st Century Community Learning Centers?
They're not the same grant, but we're trying to offer them in the same place.
Okay, that was my next question.
Place of activity.
Carnegie
Yes.
being the place rather than
Right.
high schools because somehow this
Right.
is.
Right.
Any other questions? Ms. Fletcher?
Lee, do you have anything else to add as part of your report?
Just a reminder that our Pupil Services Committee meeting is November 19th here in the library, and that is at 3:30 for district-wide pupil services. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sassini?
Just, we have two things very briefly. Number one, we wanted to express our appreciation for everybody, whether it be board, community, faculty who had supported last week at the homecoming event. Very successful weekend. Our homecoming king was Damian Carpa. Our homecoming queen, crowned at the football game, was Ms. Paige Falk. We had a very nice dance Saturday evening at Cephala's, over 150 students. And that was put together by two of our teachers, Ms. Anne Marie Bunch and Mrs. Rachel Folks. And so we wanted to express our appreciation for that, as well as the great behavior of our students.
And I understand that they both had to step up kind of at the last minute. There were some problems that occurred, but they were able to step up and
Well, we didn't have a sponsor at the beginning of the year, so we needed somebody. The two of them did come forward, but for the sophomore and junior classes.
and truly appreciate that. So thank you, Dr.
And the high school is also sponsoring a food drive now through the end of the month. We are putting together Thanksgiving baskets for some of our families, and this is really under the leadership of Mrs. Elizabeth Jones and Mrs. Carrie Badger. So we are going to have pre-cooked hams that faculty members will be sponsoring for Thanksgiving. And then we are having a food drive competition within our homerooms for various other things that would go into the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, such as stuffing mixes and canned vegetables and those sorts of things. So the homeroom that puts together the most baskets will win a prize. So that is running through the end of the month, and we definitely wish to thank all of those people who have been very generously offering. Actually, we've had a few parents buy whole baskets of food and send those in. So we definitely appreciate those contributions and encourage those who can to also continue to contribute.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Sassini or Mrs. Burns? Dr. Maslin?
I actually don't have anything to report tonight. Thank you.
You did very well with bringing those two students. It's been a good night.
And Mr. Christie isn't here, and that concludes the superintendent.
Thank you very much. Under committee reports, you'll see that in your packets were the minutes of the Parkway West 2004-2012 meeting. Pathfinder report, Director Wilson isn't here.
There was a meeting scheduled to be last night. I was supposed to attend and her dad it was canceled, so.
Thank you. Parkway West, or?
No report.
No report. Shasta, Director Shrubba, any report?
Yes, we had our first meeting. We had speakers from our Weiss's office. We spoke on the ever-changing, ever-evolving teacher evaluations and keystone tests. Lots of questions and conversation, but in the end, there were too many of us.
Thank you. PSBA and Legislative Director Shaw.
First, I just wanted to ask Director Alkoviak, do you still know if those career days for the 7th and 8th graders, I think one was November 1st and the other one is February 7th, if they're still happening for the Parkway West?
You're saying that they're scheduled?
I read in the minutes that they were talking about hosting them. Is that still
I can
happening?
tell you that the reason I had no report is I was out of town during the last meeting, so I don't have the information to follow up on that one.
Dr. C, do you know if that's happening or?
For 7th and 8th grade?
For 7th and 8th graders.
I'm not aware of those. Usually they do have them for 8th graders and sometimes 9th graders. I'll have to contact Margaret.
Yeah, I just read it in the minutes, and so I was just curious.
Well, I don't know if anything's changed or not, I can tell you.
And for the PS3 legislative report, Chapter 4 changes are being proposed. Chapter 4 has to do with basically graduation requirements, that sort of thing. So there is an open comment period that ends now November 5th. If anybody would like to comment on that, it has to do with some changes to Common Core standards, strategic planning, the graduation requirements. What else is here? Additional Keystone exams, remediation project-based assessments, and emergency waivers. So there's some language that's being changed with that. One of the key items is to replace language that states that the Keystone exams would count for at least a third of the course grade, with language that would mandate that students demonstrate proficiency. So that's one of the changes that would happen, because currently the Keystones would count as a third, potentially a third from the course grade. But they want to change that so that the student would be more proficient and that would impact the grades somehow. So if anybody's interested in commenting on that and looking at the proposed changes, you can contact Karen Molchanow, and that's Molchanow. She's the Executive Director of the State Board of Education. That's 333 Market Street in Harrisburg at 17126. And there are links on the, I think, PD website, and I think PSBA also has some links for her email address. I tried to do it and I didn't get through, so, but if anybody's interested, teachers or parents that are here or listening, now would be a good time. You have until November 5th. There was also an inability to pass a vote on charter school reform. They broke for the year Wednesday night, the House did, without voting on the bill. But that bill cleared the Senate on Tuesday night. And so what happens now is the bill is essentially dead and can be picked up again in January if our legislators so choose to do so. The bill is known as SB 1115. Two things to note though. There was a provision that would have set up a committee to review the more than 20-year-old formula for funding special education. So that hasn't been moved on again. And the provision allowing the state authority to approve brick and mortar charters without local district input, that had been dropped as well. But it doesn't fix the double dip of the pension cost for charter schools. Right now, the PSER expenditure is not subtracted from expenditures in the charter's tuition calculation. And so they still get that. And then the charters are allowed reimbursement for their retirement costs. So it's essentially a double dip of taxpayer monies linked to PSER. So that, with that bill, that wouldn't have changed anyway. So right now, it's dropped. The Corbett administration was disappointed about this, and so as we move forward with elections, just keep in mind, and if education is an issue for you, just keep in mind the current administration is pro-voucher, is pro-charter, and all that means. And you can check the PD website, you can check PSBA website for more information on what this bill was and why it died, and then newspaper articles floating around the internet as well. But again, it's SB 1115. And there was a report that Common Core requirements have a consequence that they could potentially lead to the potential for redistribution of funds for some school districts. So because for some areas there's a new online component, and that's meaning new technological infrastructure sorts of changes, which is more money. There are new textbook requirements, new requirements for resources. And so again, as we go through the election cycle, one of the key issues that we have to consider is how does the push for charters in Pennsylvania is currently being conducted mesh with the push for Keystone exams and the Common Core. And the question being, can we effectively fund both movements? And I think we're starting to see with some of the discussions going back and forth that we are having difficulty funding both of this. And what does that mean for the future of public education in the state? So, but again, the House has called it quits at least until January, so we're not really going to see much of anything until after this election cycle.
Any questions for Director Shaw? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on now. The business before the board received the first motion to approve conferences and field trip requests as listed and presented. Do I have a motion to approve these conferences and field trip requests?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Under Finance, we have 5 motions. The first 5 items in this motion. The first is approval of the Treasurer's Report for the month of September 2012. Number 2, the September 12 bills in the amount of $2,218,317.94. Number 3, the September 2012 Athletic Fund Report is submitted with an ending balance of $8,083.73. Number 4, September 2012 Activities Fund Report as submitted with an ending balance of $33,066.71. And the July through September 2012 Cafeteria Report is submitted by Airmark. Do I have a motion for those 5 items? So I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item you wish to discuss by its number.
Quick question about number 5.
The Airmark Cafeteria Report.
Correct. I saw a small negative balance with that, but it also corresponded to a small negative balance last year at the same time. Is there like a startup cost at the beginning of the year that drives that negative and then it goes positive throughout the year? Is that an assumption?
Ms. Mitchell is in the audience.
Yeah.
Would you like to address that?
Yeah, usually every September we start at a negative because we have some costs throughout the summer that we have to adhere to, like payroll cost. And then also we buy small wares and different equipment to start the school year off that we need. And then as the year goes on, we usually have positive balances throughout the months.
Thanks.
We also had this year, we have a new menu, beautiful new cafeteria as well.
Yes.
My understanding has been with the new menu, it had been a little slow to be embraced by the students, but
Yeah.
how are things right now? We picked that up.
I think at the high school, definitely pick it up. And at the elementaries, it's slowly getting a little bit better, but we did change some things in October's menu, so that helped out as well.
So you're getting full.
Yeah, I'm losing my voice, sorry.
Okay.
If I could quickly add to that, there was some national story, I think, that talked about some of, I think, federal changes to
Right.
school lunch programs that a lot of districts are having trouble with. Some kids are having trouble with. They've reduced, or they've increased the nutrition values that you need. They've reduced the calorie allowances that you have, and there's some kids who are complaining they're not getting enough food. So this is a national issue, and I don't know what flexibility, if any, we have, but
Yeah, it is a national issue. There's several local school districts who, their lunch counts have gone down drastically, and kids are brown bagging it and talking about it on Twitter. So we haven't had that drastic of a decline, so we're lucky in that respect. But there's really not much that we can do about it because, like you said, it is a federal, national law, different laws that are happening. So we're just trying to adhere to them as best that we can. And
I guess here's just a question, I don't know if there's an answer, but if a student says, I'm hungry and I want more food, is federal law preventing us from feeding that student?
yeah, unless they want to buy some more food.
But they can buy more?
Yeah, they can
Okay.
buy more food, but they only get one reimbursable meal from the government, and then after that, they can purchase additional food if they like.
And what you're referring to is, are those students that may be getting some assistance for the purchase of, somebody who might just be going in there and...
Well, all the meals that we serve are reimbursable. Even the paid meals, the government gives us about 30 cents for each paid meal that
Oh, I
we
see.
serve.
When you're saying reimbursed, okay.
Yeah, so even if they are a full paid student, that's considered a reimbursable meal, and it has to follow these guidelines. But if they wanted to simply buy a piece of pizza, or 3 or 4, they could.
And of course, we had an open house, as Dr. Cecchini, I believe, mentioned a week ago tonight, and the cafeteria was open, and I had some of that pizza, and I had about 4 slices of it. It was outstanding.
Awesome.
So, I don't know if the kids complain about
So
it.
you
The pizza's good.
You wouldn't survive.
I think you're beyond the federal requirement for portion size.
Any further questions on these?
One quick follow-up.
Yes, sir.
Can both elementary and high school students purchase additional food?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But the food that they get is the food that they get. You can't ask for like another scoop of steamed broccoli.
Right.
So,
So I
Well, they
guess
can, I mean, they could buy additional servings of anything.
at the elementary level,
Yeah.
would they have to buy
Yeah.
just a second lunch? Because
No, there's different prices for different things, like a vegetable is like 50 cents, if they want us an extra vegetable. Or they could buy an extra milk, which is also 50 cents, an extra entree is $1.55, and so on. So it just depends on what.
And this is nothing new. I mean,
No.
they've always been able to buy.
It's always, that hasn't
Extra
changed,
stuff.
those guidelines
Yeah.
haven't changed, it's just the portion sizes have decreased and the
Okay.
calories.
Thank you.
but you charge that, because I remember, back in the Wild West, when we could get extra mashed potatoes and we weren't charged.
Oh.
As a kid, you walk in, you're like, I want a bigger scoop.
Can I have
Thank
2
you.
scoops? Yeah,
Thank
that's.
you, 2 scoops. It's not like
They
that.
should have never done that, but.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Under personnel, we have a number of items. I will take us through, let's go through 1 through 8 first. Item number 1 is approval of additions to the 12-13 day-to-day sublist as listed. Number 2, additions to the 12-13 supplemental activities list as approved by the administration and as presented. Number 3, high school teacher, approval of high school teacher Tony Lynn Longo for the position of SAT prep facilitator for the 12-13 school year in English/language arts. Number 4, approval of the following 4 after-school tutors for 1 hour each day, 3 times per week for an after-school tutoring program to be offered at Carnegie and Crafton Elementary Schools with funding from the Accountability Block Grant. Number 5, 2 after-school tutors for 1 hour per day, 4 hours per week for an after-school tutoring program to be offered at the junior high school program to be funded through Access. Number 6, additional tutoring positions to fill the open postings for the 21st Century Learning Community Program as submitted. Number 7, the letter of retirement from classroom aide Michael Schneider-Lochner, effective October 8th, 2012. And number 8, the request for medical sabbatical for the second half of the 12-13 school year for employee CFT 12-08 is submitted. Do I have a motion for those first 8 items? There is a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item by its number that you wish to discuss. There being no discussion, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? The motion carries. 9, 10, 11, I will note that 12 and 13 we are not going to act on tonight, and 14 will be the next motion. Number 9, Sarah Tupi as a volunteer volleyball coach for the 12-13 school year. Number 10, approval of the memorandum of understanding between the district and Together Pittsburgh for the provision of a high school relationship education program for students and to post for the necessary positions as necessary. Number 11, Edward Mantich for the position of curriculum director / data and testing coordinator at a starting salary of $84,000 per year under the terms and conditions of the Act 93 agreement. And number 14, the resignation of Elsie Draglia, high school cafeteria worker, effective October 3rd, 2012. I believe I got the ones we needed to get. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the items? Please identify the item by its number.
I was just wondering if Mr. Pfeiffer could remind the public about item number 11, the need for a curriculum director, data and testing coordinator, what that means. I know we've talked about it before in case.
Sure.
And what that process was like.
Sure, the administrator is a K-12 administrator to work with the building principals and work with the faculty on not only aligning our curriculum with the Pennsylvania Common Core, but also to help us move forward on the PSSAs. Again, the proficiency levels continue to rise every year and are going to be at 100% in 2014 with the Keystone exams, which right now there's 3, the Algebra 1, the Biology, and the English Language Arts. There's also 3 in the can that could very well become live: civics, algebra 2, and English composition. With the alignment to the Pennsylvania Common Core, the way the curriculum's set up now is that the Pennsylvania Common Core is the basis upon which the Keystone exams are written. Mr. Mantich has direct experience on the Keystone Committee at Harrisburg and also in writing not only the Keystone exams for math, but also the project-based assessment, which is what students would have to take if they did not pass the Keystones and need to graduate. So he brings a unique experience with his experience on the Keystone Committee and also working with that in his prior district, which is McKeesport, and writing a K-12 articulated curriculum there with the faculty. Again, going back in alignment to the Pennsylvania Common Core, the PSSAs, as they currently exist, are based on the current Pennsylvania standards and anchors. Next year, it's all going to be based on the Pennsylvania Common Core. If you look at the content on the Common Core, and this is also posted on the Pennsylvania Standards Line system site, that they outline in a learning progression where the skill levels and competencies are to be introduced by grade level and where they're going to be mastered by grade level. So they give you an outline of where we're supposed to introduce these. If you look at it and look at some of these skill levels, just like the Keystone Algebra test, some of the things that were in Algebra 2 are going to be in the Keystone Algebra 1 test. Some of the levels and skill competencies that were taught at other grade levels are being taught at earlier grade levels. So this person is going to help us not only with the testing, but as we go to rewrite the curriculum, identify the curriculum in terms of where we currently hitting our Pennsylvania Common Core. What aren't we hitting, and what are we teaching that isn't aligned to anything, and where does that belong in the curriculum? So it's going to take the curriculum from being something that goes into a binder that people do every 5 years and then goes on a shelf, that something becomes a dynamic document that is constantly being informed by student testing results and scores, that the teachers can use this data, and that the teacher meetings are going to go from maybe content driven or so forth, that we'll be able to focus more on kids. And here's a group of kids that have struggled and haven't hit this anchor or this PA Common Core competency level, and how can we work to emphasize this instruction on this competency level for this group of kids. So I'm very excited about bringing this person on. I believe that the person's going to have benefit across the district and is going to be able to work with the administration and the faculty, because this is going to be a challenge and a change in the way we do business. But so was the use of computers and the use of certain data coaches 5-10 years ago. When I started in the field in the late 80s and 90s, the computer person was a duty the math teacher had. And now I don't think you would think about going to a school that does not have a designated computer program into the program. So I think this, by bringing this on, I think we're going to be ahead of the game, and I think this person is going to bring real value to our community and our district.
Great, thank you. Any other comments, questions, discussion on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Under policy, you see we have a motion to approve modifications to policy 707, use of school facilities, and with the attachments as presented. I'll point out this was first offered to this board as a first reading on August 23rd, so 30 days have passed, so it is appropriate to bring it up now for approval. Do I have a motion to approve this item? There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. That covers the items we had on our agenda. We'll move now to unfinished business. I'd like to first ask, I was hoping to ask Kirby, of course he's not here, but I'll ask you, Mr. Pfeiffer. You'll recall that we did have an agreement that we entered into with the teachers regarding a change to our contract regarding healthcare, where teachers could either go into HMO or PPO.
Yes.
And that could provide some cost savings to us, to the individual teachers as well. Could you, I don't know if maybe we need Mr. Kirby here, but is my understanding correct, is that to be effective November 1? I believe that's.
Right, that he was sending a letter out, people had to notify which they want.
Any sense as to how people, we may need to get him.
Right, we probably need to get him
Okay.
the final count. I think some things are still coming in, and he doesn't
Okay.
have the final numbers yet.
So we can, all right, well, maybe we want to ask him in a short meeting. Other items under unfinished business, any director may have at this point in time? There being none, we'll move on to new business. I have an item under new business. I'd like to ask our superintendent if he would come back and report to the board at this next meeting, if possible. Exactly what are we doing in the district in terms of recycling? And what can we do to recycle as much as possible? I don't want to say that we're not recycling now, I don't know what we're doing, but I see we have these bins at all the high schools. I know I go and bring, the communities have recycling, bottles and tin cans and all, but paper, I take to the bins. I meet my friends there, teachers and others in the district who do the same, and I applaud them all for doing that. But maybe within this district, or in our village, we can help set an example. So if you get back to report, what are we doing and what can we do, I'd appreciate it. Other items that any director may want to bring up at this point under new business?
I had one. I noticed in the cafeteria report that there was an item listed about the leaking fridge in Carnegie. And so I was wondering, and it stated that Mr. Reggio addressed the issue. My question is, do we need a new refrigerator at Carnegie? And
No.
No.
okay.
No, I don't.
It's okay.
That's a knee-jerk reaction. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. I don't know the extent of the leak, right? I don't.
Are we okay?
It's fine.
It's
yeah.
fine. Okay. I just wanted to be sure because I didn't know the extent of the leak. I didn't know. It just says there was a leak and it was fixed.
Yeah.
And if it's good.
I think it's fine for now anyway.
Okay.
It's working.
Just checking.
Thank you.
Just checking.
Thanks.
Anything else in the new business at this point? Yes, sir.
To add to your idea, I like the concept, and if I could propose an idea, but let the staff and the administration figure it out, but maybe there's a component to that recycling project where we can have the students, as a part of a science curriculum, investigate it, and then even have students help figure out where to put bins, and that might help with buy-in, and maybe there's some learnings to come from that from an education perspective. So.
Use this as an opportunity to teach our kids. Sounds like a great idea, if you could include that in your assessment. Anything else in new business? There being nothing else, we'll turn to open forum. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board, or a board member bring up anything else. Is there anything under new in open forum that anyone would like to bring to the board? There being nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Has been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And this meeting is adjourned.